Once again, we find ourselves at a peculiar situation, everybody, at 205 pounds, the UFC light heavyweight division. Obviously, with John Blachowicz going to face Glover Teixeira, there's gotta be another title challenger within the muss of the UFC light heavyweight division. Obviously, there is a multitude, there's a plethora of talent within that division. 205 pounds is extremely stacked. But tomorrow night, we find ourselves at a very peculiar situations. We find ourselves at a crossroads. This is a crossroads match which is going to be going on tomorrow. Jiří Procházka, the UFC newcomer who's only had one fight in the UFC, and now he's going to be headlining his very first fight night. The former risen light heavyweight champion of the world, who stands at 27-3-1, is going to be going up against the former two-time title challenger Jonathan Dominick Reyes. I don't know why I said Jonathan. I've got a cousin whose name is Jonathan Reyes, but Dominick Reyes, who just happens to be 12-2. There's a huge disparity when it comes to the record of both these individuals. Jiří, who's also a very tall, powerful, and lanky individual, just like Dominick Reyes is going to be a very interesting fight. Both these guys are built the same way with the same stature. Obviously, Jiří is going to be the stronger individual there because he looks more clean cut. And like I said, he's got more of an experience than Dominick Reyes. The thing about Dominick Reyes is that he wasn't ready for that title shot against Jon Jones. Obviously, it looked like he was winning the majority of it. I had him winning, but the judges did not give him the nod that night. His gas tank was the huge problem. His gas tank was the problem again against Jan Blachowicz and Jan Blachowicz, and his gas tank is most likely going to be another problem tomorrow night. Jiří, we've only seen him fight for 2 rounds, and those 2 rounds were against Volkan Oezdemir, who is a former title challenger in his own right as well. Volkan Oezdemir went to face Daniel Cormier for his title, ended up getting submitted in the first or second round, and after that, he ended up going up and down from the UFC. Lost to Anthony Smith, he lost to Dominick Reyes, he lost to Jiří. Like I said, he's been up and down, and that just happened to be Jiří's first fight. Obviously, Jiří reminds me of another Johnny Walker, someone who's extremely weird, someone who's extremely unorthodox, someone who's like a puzzle. You're going to have to put all the pieces together just to figure out what his game plan is going to be. That is Jiří Procházka. He is a very powerful individual, and you don't want to get mixed up with his wackiness, or else you're going to go to sleep. He's going to find his shots, and like I said, he's a very weird individual, so trying to crack his code is definitely going to take you maybe 1, 2, maybe even 3 rounds in this 5-round fight. If I'm Dominick Reyes, do not burn yourself out. That is a huge problem with him. His gas tank is pretty much non-existent. We saw it against Volkan Oezdemir, we saw it against Jon Jones, we saw it against Jan Blachowicz. We've seen it against all these guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. The only reason why we didn't see it earlier is because he was just finishing all these guys left and right. Obviously, he faced OSP, took him to the distance. He ended up TKOing Chris Weidman in the first round. Chris Weidman should never have been in that division to begin with. And so on and on and on goes the whole entire list. He did end up beating, I believe he ended up TKOing Jared Cannonier when he was in the light heavyweight division. But like I said, that's Jared Cannonier. He didn't have any type of success at light heavyweight. So Dominick Reyes' record, his body of work before fighting for the title against Jon Jones wasn't really that. It just wasn't really that eye-opening. It wasn't jaw-dropping. It wasn't really impressive at all, It doesn't take that much to KO Chris Weidman. It doesn't take that much to defeat OSP. It doesn't take that much to beat Volkan Oezdemir. All these guys are pretty much old versions of themselves, or just shell of themselves, and it's not that hard to beat them because many of other people had beaten them in the past before Dominick Reyes did. So obviously, his body of work is right there. Jiří Procházka, like I said, fighting in Asia is so much more different than fighting in the United States of America. the level of competition in Asia is the same amount here in the U.S. as it is over there. It's very, very difficult to compete with the best of the best in Asia. You've got the Wushu fighters, you've got the Muay Thai fighters, and Jiří is a Muay Thai specialist, which is why his striking is at an elite level. And I believe his experience and the talent that he faced all the way over in Japan with the Risen organization is going to pay many, many dividends in the UFC light heavyweight division against a very hungry, against a very starving Dominick Reyes, who's definitely going to need a win. If he loses this fight, he's going to drop to 0-3 in his last 3 fights, and it's not good, especially looking at the UFC light heavyweight division, how stacked it is, and the UFC can drop you like a rock at any moment if they see that you've lost 3 to 4 consecutive fights. They only keep the very, really interesting ones in the UFC, especially Jeremy Stevens, especially who else? They had the GOAT. They had the GOAT that was losing left and right. If you guys don't know who the GOAT is, it's Artem Lobov. You could say that it's because he was a very interesting fighter. You can say that it was because he was the posse of Conor McGregor, and that anyone who just rides with Conor McGregor will most likely stay with the UFC until Conor McGregor leaves himself. But, like I said, Jiří is a very, very interesting individual. His striking is elite. I believe this fight is going to be on the feet until Dominick Reyes is going to take it on the ground. I believe he knows that his striking has not really paid him any dividends over the past couple of fights, and that he's going to be at a disadvantage if he decides to stay on the feet with Jiří. So he's obviously going to try to take him down. He's going to try to smother him against the cage, get a body lock in there, try to trip the feet, and get him on the ground. Jiří, like I said, is a very, very weird individual. He kind of slithers his way out of these very weird, peculiar situations. And just like the Uzmir fight, I think he's going to be very awkward. He's going to be very weird, and it's going to take Dominick Reyes a little bit of maybe 2.5 rounds to kind of crack that code that is Jiří Procházka and start kind of piecing him up until Jiří decides to use his Muay Thai to the fullest and make Dominick Reyes commit to mistakes. That's what he did against Volkan Uzmir. He hurt Volkan in that first round. They continued that body of work in the second round until he got that KO victory, and he knocked him out with one hit. It was one punch, and it was beautiful. It was placed beautiful, and Volkan was sleeping on the side of the octagon against the cage for about, it looked like it was about 5 minutes. Obviously, it was faster than that, but like I said, it looked like Volkan was just chilling there, sleeping, having the best nap of his whole entire life. That's how hard Jiří hits. And Dominick Reyes also hits as well, but the thing is, he needs to have a good test tank for this fight, because Jiří has been there with the absolute best and risen with absolute best in Japan and all of Asia, and his gas tank is already there. He's not going to get tired because he's already been in there with multiple people. He's had 30 plus fights, and like I said, it's going to be a very important fight for both these individuals. Dominick Reyes, if he wants to get back into the winning column, if he wants to fight for the title once again, he's going to have to beat Jiří. Jiří is the new flashy thing of the UFC. He's a new flashy thing of the UFC light heavyweight division. This is the man that the UFC brought in to make waves, to add a little bit more spice, to add a little bit more flavor into that UFC light heavyweight division. Now that Jon Jones has permanently left the UFC light heavyweight division, gone up the middleweight, he won't be coming down anytime soon because he doesn't like to lose any weight anymore. He doesn't like to be on a diet. He likes to eat whatever he likes to eat and still make weight completely easy, which is why he's gone up to the 264-pound heavyweight division. This is, like I said, the keys to victory for Dominick Reyes is to take Jiří on the ground. We haven't seen Jiří on the ground, which means that his ground game isn't that good, but it can also be very sneaky at the same time. Jiří continued to be as awkward as possible, make Dominick Reyes commit to his mistakes, and sneak in a very good punch in there. Dominick Reyes is, like I said, he's susceptible to the body. If there's one thing that Jan Blachowicz really spoiled in that fight, that really kind of gave a lot of information out to a lot of fighters that might be fighting Dominick Reyes in the future, is that if you rip him to the body, he's going to slow down, especially with those leg kicks. Jiří, being very tall and lanky individual, can be able to rip those leg kicks. Being a Muay Thai specialist himself, rip those leg kicks to the body of Dominick Reyes. And I don't think that Dominick Reyes is going to... I don't think he's going to check any of those at all. So obviously, if I'm Jiří, go to the calf kicks, go to the body, and try to soften up that body before you go for the finishing kill. If I'm Dominick Reyes, check all those as much as possible. Try to get the takedown, take it down to the fight. Take it down to the floor, the mat, and try to get in a submission, because Dominick Reyes, his ground game is very, very underrated. Like I said, he is a complete mixed martial artist, but he didn't really have a complete background before getting into MMA because he was a football player. He's a Division I football player and decided to transition into mixed martial arts because he didn't feel like he wanted to go into the professional football league in Canada or the United States of America or in Europe. It is what it is. But he's got some pretty good wrestling. He can be able to take a couple guys down. He doesn't want to strike with Jiří because it's going to be a very, very bad night for him if he does. Jiří's got the advantage, but when it comes to the speed, Dominick Reyes is very, very fast. If he can utilize his speed, if he can utilize his angles, get a couple good shots in, and fluster Jiří, make him commit to his mistakes as well, he just needs to read into the sloppiness that is Jiří. He needs to read into the weirdness, the awkwardness, the unorthodoxness that Jiří Procházka is. And it obviously works for Jiří because he's 27-3. 27-3-1. That's a very, very good record to have going into the UFC, especially for your second fight. If I'm Jiří, if I win this fight against a former two-time title challenger, then I'm going to be up next for that title basically after Glover Teixeira, because Jan Blachowicz has already cleaned out that whole entire light heavyweight division, so he's most likely going to be the next one up if he beats Dominick Reyes, which is no easy feat. But he's going to have to take Dominick Reyes into the trenches and get him as tired as possible. If I'm Dominick Reyes, I hope you have already worked on that gas tank, because this fight might go the full 5 rounds, or there might be a late finish in that 4th or 5th round. So obviously Dominick Reyes, he's gone the full 5th only once in his whole entire career. That was against Jon Jones. He got tired, lost the fight. If he wants to win this fight, he needs to fix the gas tank. He needs to push the pace, pour pressure on his opponent. He needs to check the leg kicks, especially to the body, because he will get ripped by Jiří if he's not careful. And he needs to keep the movement going on no matter what. And I hope he changed camps, because it just wasn't working for him where he was at. Obviously, all of his brothers were in this corner. All of his brothers were his coaches. No, you can't have that. You can't have family in your corner, because sometimes it will just be bad for you. Sam Alvey had his wife as the chief corner in this fight, and he ended up getting submitted in the first round, I believe, or the second, against Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. Who else had family in their corner that I can remember? Well, Nick and Nate Diaz usually have each other, and I love Nate, but his record in the UFC is not that good at all. So obviously having family in the corner is not really the best thing to do. So hopefully Dominick Reyes has legit coaches in his corner that can be able to give him some very sound advice so he can be able to win this fight. If you're asking me who's going to win this, I give the majority of the advantages to Jiří, even though both these guys are both physically built similar. It's going to be I don't think the fight's going to go the full 5 rounds. I think it's going to be a late stop in the 4th or 5th round. I'm going to give it to Jiří. He's awkward, he's unpredictable, and I think he's going to be able to sneak in a very good shot against Dominick Reyes. And definitely, I bet Jiří was watching a lot of that Jan Blachowicz fight against Dominick Reyes, and also the Volkan Oezdemir fight, because Volkan Oezdemir should have won that fight. He got robbed by the judges. But most likely watching those fights that Dominick Reyes failed in, and he's going to capitalize on a lot of the mistakes that Dominick Reyes was able to make during those fights, and really exploit them, and probably take him into the trenches and finish him. So I got Jiří Procházka beating Dominick Reyes by 4th round KO. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe, stay blessed. It's going to be some pretty good fights tomorrow. And obviously, some of them ended up not falling through. But like I said, we still got fights. UFC is still going strong. I appreciate everything that they've done for our entertainment because things got extremely boring when they were gone for 3 to 4 months. So, appreciate you guys watching the video once again. Stay blessed. God bless. And I'll see you guys later.